I don't know how to work this thing. Well, anyways, don't really know how to work live yet because I never go live. But so listen, I feel like God has been dealing with me. First of all, first and foremost, to whomever find this live, hey, how you doing? Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world and watching this live. My name is Tiannavenice. I am a leader, a storyteller, and a faith influencer, and the owner of the Sorrow to Serenity podcast or Sorrow to Serenity YouTube channel, however you want to put it. Listen, I feel like God has been dealing with me heavily about women who are tired of being in survival mode, who are tired of being in these toxic relationships and having these toxic mindsets, but really don't know how to move forward, don't really know how to move, the needle in their life so that they can experience something different. So, we're going to talk about it. I feel like it's a conversation that needs to be had that a lot of women avoid. And I just feel like God is, you know, prompting me to do so. So here I am. So first and foremost, about, let's see, it's 2026. So maybe around 2018, I left a abusive relationship. I was in that relationship for 4 years, almost 5 years. And during that time, it was toxic. It was a lot, right? But more recently, I've broken up with somebody I was with for 2 years. It's been going on almost a year that I've been single, but I broke up with him 6 months ago. That was also a toxic relationship, but it was in that relationship that I learned more about myself. Whereas in that abusive relationship, I learned about, manipulation and all the things, right? And gaslighting and narcissistic people or whatever. So, a bit of a backstory. About, I want to say about a year and a half ago or whatever, um, me and my ex, and we'll just call him John, right? We'll just call him John. So, me and John had gotten into an argument, and he had my car. And it's not like he stole or anything, but nonetheless, he had my car. And so he came back to where I was. He came to pick me up because at this point we had been arguing for about an hour. But it was more of pride with him and with me, but mainly with me. But we got into an argument. He came back to pick me up, and he went. I thought he was going to take me home. No such thing. So when he came to pick me up, he was driving. I was sitting in the back seat, and when I when I got in the car, he started speeding. Real petty, real crazy, like, whatever. So he was driving, and he finally started to slow down because I kept yelling from the back seat, slow down, stop, yada, 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 let me out. And he was just not listening. So he ended up going on a street that was near his house, and the car started to slow down. So I'm thinking he's getting ready to stop. And so in the midst of me thinking he's getting ready to stop, I opened my door to try to get out. He hit the curb. Like, he hit the curb, he sped over it, and before I know it, I was flying out of the car. And so at that moment, I was like, bro, I'm over it. I'm done with you. I hate you. I don't want to be with you. Give me my keys. Get out of my car. Like, it was just, I'm done. And so I went to go pick up my children. I couldn't even look at myself in the mirror because I was so ashamed and so afraid of what I might look like. Now, mind you, this was not an abusive relationship, as far as him putting his hands on me. And we as women, we feel like because we're not being physically touched sometimes that it doesn't count as a abusive relationship, but manipulation is a form of abuse. Um, Calling you out your name, disrespecting you, that's a form of verbal abuse. And regardless of what you think you feel for that person, abuse is abuse. So um, I remember getting back in my car and going to get my kids from my mom's house. And the first person I saw was my oldest son. And I remember seeing his face, and he was so hurt. He was crying. And I was, my goodness, What have I done? I felt so bad because my son saw me like this, right? And I'll start sharing more of my story on YouTube so you can understand why it hurt me so bad. But um he was like boohoo crying, and it was awful. So I ended up going home, cleaning up my face. I mean, my gums was so messed up, like the meat was hanging over my teeth. It was a time. I had a big bruise on my forehead. Y'all like my hat? My daughter made this. Um, I know this is not what I'm supposed to be talking about, but my daughter made me this hat. I like it so much. She is a self-taught, um, what y'all call it, crocheter? I don't know, but she's self-taught with crocheting, and she knows blue is my favorite color, and so she made this for me. So if you guys are interested in getting yourself a crochet hat, or somebody that you know would love, let me know, and I'll let her know, because she doesn't have no prices or nothing. But I told her she should make a business out of it because she loves to crochet like she's somebody grandma. But anyway, I digress. So get my thing together. Next time I'm using my microphone. But so I end up going home, getting myself together, and my phone was dead. So him and I weren't talking or whatever. So when I finally charged my phone, he texted me. It was like, his initial reaction was to blame everything on me. Oh, you jumped out of the car, you this and that, da 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 da. Then it went from that to boo-hoo crying. It was the waterworks. He was leaving voice notes and everything. I'm so sorry, I miss you, and I love you, and whatever. And so it was that, right? And as women, our natural instinct, when we love somebody, when we care about somebody, because God made us natural nurturers, we automatically want to cling to them, or want to forgive them, or want to move forward as if nothing ever happened. And that is one of our biggest downfalls. And so that's what I did. And it just, for me personally, even though there was nothing physical after the situation, it still, it just, the relationship just never kind of repaired itself. It was always on shaky ground anyways, but the relationship just never got good. It just, as I grew and I was growing spiritually, and I was growing emotionally, it just didn't fit. That relationship just didn't fit the life that I know God has for me. So anyways, I wanted to have a conversation because a lot of the times when we know something is not good for us, when we know somebody is not good for us, and it doesn't necessarily got to be a relationship, even in um, family, we know certain things are not good for us. We know certain people are not good for us, but we stay anyways. Or when we depart from them, when God, see, part of the problem that we have is that we try to hold on to the very thing that God is trying to remove out of our lives, or trying to detach from. Because you got to remember, we ask God for all these different things. And in order for us to get those things, in order for God to bless us with the things that we ask for, we have to be willing to make room for those things. So if you're asking God to send you your spouse, which I know that's the trend these days, if you are expecting God to send you your kingdom spouse, then don't you think that you need to heal, so that way so that way you can make room for that spouse? Don't you think that you need to let go of your past so you can make room for that spouse? Don't you think that you need to advance and to evolve mentally and spiritually and emotionally, get rid of pride, actually heal from the past, in order to make room for that spouse? If you're moving into a new place, you're not going, 95% of the time, we're not looking for something that's already furnished. If you're planning on buying a new couch, well, where are you going to put it if you still got an old couch in there? You know what I mean? So you have to make room for that. And so a lot of times I feel like one of the reasons why it's hard for us to let go is because we claim that we miss that person. And I did a video of this a while ago. You don't miss that person. What you miss is what's familiar. What you miss is the person that you made up in your head. Because a lot of times the person that you miss is don't even exist. Yeah, I can understand you guys probably went on walks, you went on dates, you went on, you guys did things together. They probably were good to your kids. My ex, he used to play with my kids all the time. But at the same time, when we take away all of those things, because they only last but for a moment, when we take away all of those things, what do we have left? What does his actions and his decisions say about his character? Now, this is not me trying to come down on any man out there. You do you. I'm not projecting at all. You do you. But what I want to say is it's hard to say, it's easy to say you miss somebody when all you know is toxicity. You miss that person when all you know is chaos. You miss that person when all you know is disrespect, when all you know is fear, when all you know is anxiety. Trauma bonds. When my last relationship, not my last one, but the one where I was that abusive relationship, it wasn't until my mother used to always tell me, she said, sometimes you can't see a relationship for what it is. You can't see it the way other people see it. Sometimes you have to take a step out of that relationship to actually see it for what it is. And in that last relationship that I was in, well, that 4-year relationship that I was in, it wasn't until I broke up with that person that I realized my brokenness was attracted to his brokenness. We were not meant to be together. We were not in love. At least I know I wasn't. But my brokenness was attracted to his brokenness. So that's what led me to stay. And then we had a kid together. And so I'm like, okay, we got a kid together. Now let me stay within this connection for the sake of my kids. But that's where you mess up, because you got to understand your kids follow your actions. They don't follow your advice. My mom used to tell me all the time, nobody has to deal with the consequences of my actions but me. That's false. When you make a decision, it directly affects the people that are connected to you. And so it's easy for you to say you miss them. It's easy for you to say that I want to be in this relationship because all you know is chaos. All you know is disrespect. All you know is cheating. All you know is lying. But what happens when you get with somebody, when God sends you somebody who is faithful, who is true to their word, who follows through with the things that he says he's going to do? You have to be able to make room for them. And you can't make room for them. They can't come in if you're constantly thinking about the past, if you refuse to heal, if you refuse to let go of the hurt and the pain. And so I want to challenge you guys to do that. In 2 Corinthians, it tells you what love is. I hate when people say toxic love. There is no such thing as toxic love. When you look in Corinthians, nowhere in the Bible does love is toxic. Nowhere. That is a man-made word, okay? There's no such thing as toxic love. That's something that you create. The question is, who are you without that person? And are you willing to figure out who you are without that person? Again, if you are used to toxicity, if you are used to chaos, a lot of times we end up in relationship with people that mirror people we've already been around. So for instance, I didn't find out until after I separated myself that my first narcissist was my mother. I didn't figure that out though until after I had already broken up with that person. I mean, after I had already separated myself from her. And I was like, a lot of us have daddy issues, but I really have some mommy issues. I really have some things that I need to work out within myself. So you keep coming back, not because you miss that person, but you miss what's familiar to you. You miss the chaos. You miss the drama because you're addicted to it. You may not know that you're addicted to it, but when you've been around it all this time, you get addicted to it, right? Because it's the only thing that you know. So that's the only thing that you will accept. And I'm going to say this. One of the reasons why you go back to that is because you can control it. You can control the narrative. When you are used to something so much, it's almost like you can predict what's going to happen. When you find joy and you find peace and God brings you that stuff in your life, you like, it's uncertain. I don't know when the other shoe is going to drop. But when you are used to chaos, when you're used to disrespect, when you're used to somebody calling you out your name and putting their hands on you or treating you like you just an option, you can control the narrative because in your mind, you're like, I know how this is going to play out. I already know he gonna ghost me for a couple of days and he gonna text me back in a few days and we gonna make up and you already know what to expect. So you don't miss them. You're able to control the narrative though. So I just wanted to put that out there because like I said, I feel like God has been dealing with me as far as women being stuck in survival mode and women being going back to the same old toxic patterns. You don't need that. Let me say something. One of my mottos is, and I live by this, you plus God is always enough. Always enough. You have to understand that once you seek the kingdom of righteousness, that God is going to add all those things to you. You don't need the things that you think you need. A lot of times God is trying to separate us from the things that are hindering us. I am new to this live thing, so hi. I don't know how to put hi on here. I don't even know how to comment yet. Hi, how are you? But yeah, so I just want to say sometimes you're not going back to them because they are amazing. You're going back to them because the unknown is unfamiliar to you. The uncertainty of what's out there other than them is more comfortable for you. I mean, is more uncertain for you than dysfunction is. Some of us are addicted to dysfunction. Some of us are addicted to chaos because again, we know what to expect. I had a friend, she told me about a guy that she was dating, and she said, I don't know what I did for him to stop talking to me, for him to stop ghosting me. And I told him, you were you. You are stuck in a toxic cycle where you have made it seem like it's okay for people to ghost you, to disrespect you, and then to still come back. You've created this environment that it's okay. It's never okay for somebody to disrespect. Proverbs 26:11 says, a dog returns to its vomit, so fools repeat their folly. Folly is foolish ways. It's foolish behaviors. It's not just one mistake. It is a pattern of disrespectful and foolish behavior. And understand this, if you don't understand nothing else I say in this live, understand this. A mistake made more than once is a decision. When somebody is constantly disrespecting you, when they're constantly ghosting you, if they're constantly cheating, if they're constantly lying, it is because that's the environment that you have created. That is a decision that they have made. Hi, is that says Urjana? I'm sorry. 901. Hi. But it's a decision that they've made. When it says that the dog returns to its vomit, it's returning back to the same thing that's already made them sick. Sis, you cannot grow in the same environment that makes you sick. You cannot heal in an environment that keeps making you sick. That doesn't even make sense. And so I'm encouraging you that if that is your situation, that you seek God. When I was in a shelter, I was in a shelter for abuse. And when I was in the shelter, I didn't have anybody to talk to me. I didn't have anybody to say, yeah, go talk to God or anything. I just went with what I knew as, growing up in church. But if that's you, if you're, accepting less than what you deserve, you got to understand you are a part of a royal priesthood. You deserve better. God didn't put you on this earth to be nobody's punching bag, to be nobody's doormat, to be lied to be disrespected. That's not what he sent you over here for. And so I want to encourage you that if that's you, that you would get into the presence of God and that you will allow him to undo some things in you, to search your heart and to undo some things in you. Because listen, he can't bring you your blessing if you continue to entertain toxic cycles, toxic people, toxic behavior. You keep going back because it's familiar. You keep going back because it's comfortable. Thank you, Samantha. Good morning. Well, it's morning where I am, but thank you. But you can't keep going back to what's making you sick and expecting God to keep healing you. That's not how that works. So I have to go. So I want to leave the chat. But I want to ask you, what's one thing that you've gone back to that God is trying to deliver you from? You can type it in the chat or comment below, or this is my first time going live. I haven't been live in a while. But so I love you all. But listen, God is shifting some things, right? He's shifting some things in this season. And if you made it to see this live, it's because he wants you to come to him, right? God is not, he's not I don't know. He's not. I don't know. I feel like he's not man. So he's not going to make you feel ashamed or make you feel less than because of some things that you've done in your past. And listen, I'm gonna put this has nothing to do with this live, but I'm gonna say this. I have a felony charge, and I didn't think God was going to come. He was going to welcome me with open arms, but He has. You know what I mean? And so I want you to understand that your mistakes don't disqualify you. Your choice in who you choose to be with does not disqualify you. It does not mean, you know what? I have gone too far and God will not hear me. God will not know me. God will not love me. No, He knew who you are when He formed you, before He formed you in your mother's womb. It just means that you have to go to Him. See, God can do anything, but He wants us to invite Him into our lives. He wants to be a part of your life. The question is, are you going to let Him in? Because we claim that we want real love, right? We claim we want that ordained love. We want that godly love. We want good friends. We want our family members to be right. But then at what point do we allow space for God to bless us? So I want to thank you all for tuning in. And I just want to say that you do not have to keep repeating the same cycles over and over, sis. God knows your heart. And if you would just come to Him, He would do a work within you. Listen, I have opened up a few clarity calls. Okay, I've opened up a few clarity calls to help you get clear on what's keeping you stuck, on why you keep going back. And if you know that this word was for you, I encourage you to click the link so that way you can get a clarity call with me. You can book a clarity call with me. This is going to be a 30-minute clarity call where we look over your current situation and we're going to pinpoint exactly what has been keeping you stuck, and how to walk with God differently. So click the link in the description to secure your spot. Okay, I love you guys. I thank you all so much for joining me. And I'm going to do this series more often as long as God keep calling me to do it. Okay, if you like to sow a seed in the ministry, all the information is below in the description box. I love you all. And I will see you guys in the next one. Make sure you subscribe to the channel too. Bye.